Welcome back to the current affairs for the day, and today we'll be taking up the current affairs for the 17th of March, the five main ones. Starting with shutdown and protest rallies in Ladakh over statehood and sixth schedule demands. Now these rallies and protests have been going on for a while, and just in order to understand this better as to what this controversy is, basically, after Jammu and Kashmir's reorganization in 2019, Ladakh became a union territory without a legislature, reducing local autonomy and representation. Post which, to protect tribal identity, culture, land, and governance systems, where tribal populations are significant, these protests have been going on, and Ladakh, interestingly, has that demography where scheduled tribes comprise a majority of the population. Now, from the side of the state, they have this to say that the high-powered committee, the subcommittee, and various other informal discussions have led to increase in reservations for scheduled tribes in Ladakh from 45% to 84%. Also, Bhoti and Purgi have been declared as official languages, and they are negotiating for more adjustments in the days to come. Now, Schedule 6 has an interesting history in that it was a result of the Bordoloi Committee's recommendations to safeguard tribal governance, and Article 244 2 and 275 1 basically deal with it, and it empowers governors to establish autonomous district councils and autonomous regional councils, providing self-rule to tribal areas. Now, the major challenge in inclusion of Ladakh in the sixth schedule is that if one were to look at the sixth schedule, it talks about provisions for administration of tribal areas in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram, basically the northeast states. So, if Ladakh is also to be included, then possibly a constitutional amendment will be required. Other than that, there are concerns surrounding giving a lot of autonomy to this border area in Ladakh because of security concerns and other administrative reasons, as well as the state has cited. But the days to come will tell us how this pans out. The next one is Israel doesn't seek perpetual war with Iran, says envoy, and suggests diplomatic options remain. This led us to actually explore the history of Israel-Iran relations, and interestingly, it turns out that they were not so hostile forever. Between 1925 and 1979, the Pahlavi dynasty was there in Iran, and Iran was actually the second Muslim majority country after Turkey to recognize Israel after it was founded in 1948. Going forth, Iran was also one of 11 members of the special UN committee formed in 1947 to devise a solution for Palestine after British control of the territory ended. And Mossadegh, who was Iran's prime minister in 1951, he actually led to the nationalization of the country's oil industry that had earlier been monopolized by Britain. And gradually, this is where one could say that relations between Iran vis-a-vis other Western and West-oriented countries started going downhill. This also, of course, leads to the idea of Zionism developing, which was a political ideology in the late 19th century that called for creation of a homeland for Jews who faced atrocities in Europe, and then subsequently an anti-Zionist ideology developing in many other countries surrounding them. In 1979, when the Shah was overthrown in a revolution, a new Islamic Republic of Iran was born, and this is where a very strong conflict between Iran and Israel developed, and it is what we see today. The next news item was about the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, and basically, it comes out with a report, an annual report, and this particular report of this year has called for targeted sanctions against India's external intelligence agency, RAW, and the RSS. And from the side of India, of course, it is being stated that this report is incorrect, and that it is basically a biased view of the state of affairs in the country, and that the US should also look into how Hindu temples and other minority institutions are being targeted in the US itself. Anyway, as regards the report, the first thing is that it has asked for a responsibility to be taken for tolerance of severe violations of religious freedom by the said organizations by freezing the individuals or entities' assets or barring their entry into the US. The second is that the US has sought to link future US security assistance and bilateral trade policies with India to improvements in religious freedom. And thirdly, it has also designated India as a country of particular concern, what you would come across as CPC in these reports, for engaging in and tolerating systemic, ongoing and egregious violations of religious freedom as defined by the International Religious Freedom Act. So this is just about the report. One needs to have a factual view on it and move on. The next one is that the fuel crisis is man-made, the opposition is saying, and it is targeting the centre's foreign policy. This actually arose out of a debate regarding the creation of the Economic Stabilization Fund and the allocation of 57,381 crore rupees for it. The Economic Stabilization Fund overall is actually a 1 lakh crore reserve to tackle shocks, control inflation and ensure fiscal stability while strengthening India's economic resilience. The 57,381 crores is included in the latest supplementary budget, while the rest comes from savings of ministries and departments. It will be managed by the Department of Economic Affairs under the government's reserve funds. As you can see in front of you, this is just an example of what an economic stabilization fund is and what it is doing in various other places. The example in front of you is that of Texas. So it is basically, one could say, to handle any kind of rainy weather, which in economic terms means that if there is any price surge or any sort of destabilization in the economy owing to demand, price, supply, all these getting disrupted, then the Economic Stabilization Fund kicks in. The last news piece is seeking the Chief Election Commissioner's removal, citing his public remarks against Rahul Gandhi. The current Chief Election Commissioner is Mr. Gyanesh Kumar. He is the 26th Chief Election Commissioner. What we do need to know is that the Election Commission of India is actually a permanent constitutional body established in accordance with the Constitution on the 25th of January 1950. On the day on which we also take an oath, and it is celebrated as the National Voters' Day. Originally, the Election Commission used to have only one Chief Election Commissioner, but now it has one Chief Election Commissioner along with two Election Commissioners. The decision making remains by majority vote, so that is an important marker. And the tenure of the officers here is 6 years or up to 65 years, whichever is earlier. Their perks, salary, allowances are similar to judges of the Supreme Court. They are appointed by the President, and their removal is in a manner and grounds similar to a judge of the Supreme Court. Thank you.